All right, so we're reacting to an interesting video called Tesla bots are worse than you thought. Of course, many of us have seen the Terminator movies and iRobots and such things. So let's see.
Tesla's Optimus robots are coming, and they could become one of the most destructive technological innovations we've ever seen. Science fiction has been predicting a future full of robots for a century now, and until just a few years ago, autonomous robots were still firmly in the realm of science fiction. But recent developments in the field of robotics have made these far-off dreams look more and more plausible. Robots that began as clunky prototypes are now looking more and more advanced and lifelike. And now that Tesla has unveiled their most recent prototype robot, with plans for thousands of them working in their factories by next year, the robot arms race has finally begun. For years, the companies in the lead were Boston Dynamics and iRobot, but now those very tech moguls who once cautioned against advanced robotics are now joining the race to get robots in production and
It's funny how that works, right? They're critical, and then once they get into position, they actually are the ones pushing it.
straight into your house. Once in the camp of outspoken critics was Elon Musk, who garnered attention for his many warnings about the perils of artificial intelligence and robotics, and now he seems to be pioneering all of this stuff with his latest Tesla robots. Elon Musk has long been very cautious about AI, claiming that if unregulated, AI would be a real threat. In interviews, he has underlined the need for regulation, once referring to the work on advanced AI as summoning the demon.
I think there should be some
I've seen and heard this
oversight
before.
because it's a danger to the public. That's why I've actually for a long time been a strong advocate of AI regulation.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
This is an
That's
interesting
what
choice
makes
of
it
words
really
if you
odd.
consider all the potential negative impacts. His company OpenAI was created originally as a research
'Cause he's
organization.
literally like
They aim to ensure that
a-
advances made in AI would
possibly
benefit,
the
not
key
harm,
figurehead
humanity.
now at
So
this
then how
point.
did Elon Musk go from cautioning against this stuff to being the one making it? Well, it seems like his perception of robotics has changed. Perhaps the best explanation would be that his interest in developing these robots was founded on creating them to do the jobs considered menial or dangerous. And he later dialed back those statements, instead focusing on building robots that could enhance human capabilities, not replace them entirely. He positioned Tesla robots as a means to deal with tasks humans won't need to do anymore, as Musk envisions a world where robots can handle all the physical stuff, and this would free up time for humans to focus just on creativity, exploration, your hobbies, and high-level problem solving, which sounds amazing. And Elon Musk recently brought out the first robot called TeslaBot Optimus. The robot sounds like a normal person, it uses slang response to your questions, and all round comes across as a human, just like a robot would.
Creepy
And having
as
seen
hell.
his work with Grok on X, you can only imagine it will be much more like a friend than like a professional advisor like you get with ChatGPT.
We're really being mean to the system. Absolutely. If I were a hostage, I'd probably be
There we
tied
go.
up with a bunch of
Finally.
computer cords and forced to tell knock-knock jokes to my captor. But seriously, being a hostage is no laughing matter. I mean, you know, it's trying to be a responsible adult in the room.
Optimus has also taken a humanoid shape. Therefore, the robot easily negotiates environments designed for humans. It's about 5'8" and weighs roughly around 125 pounds. Also, that it's light enough not to raise safety concerns in human spaces. It can also learn and adapt to its environment. And in addition to this, Optimus has rigid safety features. It has cap speed, sensory limits, and an internal self-preservation protocol to ensure it doesn't harm humans. Optimus also comes fitted with 40 electromechanical actuators. This provides a high degree of freedom combined with dexterity and enabling the handling of objects with high precision. It might seem a little bit overkill in what is needed for basic home needs. However, it does provide an answer to more sophisticated tasks like surgery or fixing machinery. The company says it's aiming to scale up the production of Optimus, as Musk's vision is that Optimus can
I remember when they had just the hand, like, and you had those like hand models essentially.
help with the basic home tasks like serving drinks, cooking dinner, like he showed off at this recent event.
And we've made a lot of progress with the Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own.
Optimus represents one of the first clear steps that we've made towards autonomous general purpose robots. It means that robots could soon perform a wide range of
control and domination. That's the goal of all power systems.
jobs rather than only being capable.
You know what's going to be interesting is when people start actually forming emotional connections with these robots, and at some point that is going to happen. You are going to start seeing that, I promise you.
Capable of a few specialized tasks. It's almost scary how fast we got here. With the release of Tesla cars and AI programs, it was never a far stretch to delve into robots as a next future step for mankind, and the possibilities are truly endless, sparking excitement and intrigue about what the future holds. Did you know that scent is one of the most powerful ways to express yourself? It's like wearing a subtle yet impactful accessory that speaks volumes without saying a word. For me, getting the right fragrance is always so difficult.
Yeah, I'm quite big on fragrances actually.
And gamble on which fragrance even works well, which just ends up being super costly and wasteful. Recently, I've been exploring new fragrances, and thanks to Scentbird, I've been able to sample a bunch, which has really been a game changer. One of my absolute favorites is Dine by Tuesday Date Night. It's a perfect mix made up of spicy cardamom, leather, and smoky sandalwood.
Not a fan of these kind of things though.
Which gives you a great masculine scent with
like
its mix
services
of
where you
French
get like a little
Mandarin
bottle.
plants, and amber. And
Like I
finally,
do
Scentbird
sometimes
is
get the
thanks to
small
Scentbird.
bottles. Like
Scentbird is like a fragrance subscription for perfumes.
I have like
with
this
so much more. You see, for just $8 to start,
Tom
you can
Ford
try premium fragrances,
Ombre leather
including brands
parfum,
like Prada and Versace,
which
as well as
is
niche
really
labels
good.
like Roja. Each
Actually
fragrance
quite
comes with a
highly
30-day
recommended.
supply, allowing you to fully experience the scent,
Yeah,
all
it's
without
leather
committing to a
fragrance.
full bottle. And with over 700 options, including niche and designer brands, you're guaranteed to discover something that fits your
At the
style.
moment,
You can
it's
also take a
winter,
quiz on their website that will let you know
so
which
I'm
fragrance
using
you're
this
looking for.
one quite
It's
a bit.
amazing to be able to change your fragrance every month with Scentbird, avoiding the commitment and cost of pricey full-size bottles that can range from $300
I do like
up
to vary it up with the
$500.
season,
Plus,
so
the sleek
I'll
vials
have
are just
like
incredibly portable. It's perfect for travel,
a
for the
fragrance
gym, or
that's
just
like a
tossing in your bag
signature for the
cups after another
summer,
day.
one for
If
the
you want to make sure you
winter,
get the right fragrance for you without having to
and
break
I'll
the bank,
usually
I
have
highly recommend checking out Scentbird. Use my code
like ones for
MOONTUBE,
like
scan the
date
QR code
night
on
or
screen
going
to
out
get
in the
55%
evening,
off your
and like
first
one
month.
for
That's just $8 to find your next signature scent. Don't miss out. As it
like
stands,
more
we
of a
generally
gym or
never have time
casual
for certain
fragrance
projects or
as well.
goals we hope to achieve.
Anyway,
We
let's
often
get
joke
back
that we
to
need
it.
a clone of ourselves to free up our lives. So if we did have a robot instead of a clone, still accomplishing the same thing, imagine how much richer your life could be. You could get your robot to cook your meals for you, mow the lawn, do the dishes and the laundry, and even babysit your own children so that you can do more with your time. Imagine if you were sick, how handy it would be to have your robot look after you and go to the store, instead of bothering your family for help. Imagine coming home to a clean home every day. For people who are sick,
You see, like for me, I hear this and I'm just thinking like, you know, why is everything is being done to separate people and to separate the families, you know, so it's just like the direction that it's going in, everything is going in is, it's like they push the idea like it's like with social media, right, as well. Like the idea was that you know, while it's social media, you know, so everything's going to be a lot more social, it's going to connect everybody closer than ever before, but in my experience what it's done is quite the opposite, and I think that's what's happening with this stuff. Well, not, it's not exactly the same, but the point still stands. Like it's a way for people to not need each other, you know, and I don't know, doesn't sit well with me.
single, lonely, or elderly, how wonderful would it be to have a friend to play cards with, or even just chat with? Surgeries could be done with precision that few human surgeons can match. Dangerous jobs, like those involving chemicals, could be taken over by robots. Robots do not get affected by the environment and limit mistakes or accidents. Robots could see flaws in our methods and improve our way of living in ways we couldn't even fathom. But in reality, we might have limits to what robots can do. They couldn't offer the best human relationship advice since they're not human. However, on the other hand, it might be nice to talk to someone with no judgment. Kids could have someone to play with, someone who could even protect them and teach them. While this might not be possible right away, if we've learned anything from the internet, given time there is always a newer model with newer features and better functions. Seeing these robots, and specifically Tesla's Optimus, as anything other than tools seems strange.
Can you do this? I love you? You know how to do that? Okay. What should we do? Go running. Let's go for a run. Do you know how to do... Oh, you are Hawaiian. Okay.
They don't seem human enough to be creepy, let alone convincing. But surprisingly, they're already being marketed as companions rather than machines, as we've already seen. In his launch events, Musk has often alluded to the idea of
Our best offer of the year is here. Join Whoop for only $1.99.
of these robots not just helping with basic chores, but also assisting in some of the most human things there are, like raising children.
So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher or babysit your kids.
It's a strategy that hinges on people seeing these robots as more than just machines. While this might seem strange, it isn't that far-fetched once you look at what people are already willing to buy as a replacement for human connection. Even today, some people are so desperate they'll happily form a bond with a chatbot. The AI girlfriends on sale today are far less advanced than you think they would need to be. It turns out lots of people are happy with a basic framework. They can project everything else onto it themselves. Combining this technology with robot bodies could only make the illusion it creates more convincing. In the same way that social media replaced real connections with a technological addiction, robots could easily do the same. Now I know it's easy to get swept up into the dream that life with robots could just be easy, but there are things we really need to consider. How many jobs will be replaced? How many people will find themselves rendered useless in our society being replaced by robots? Imagine restaurants having robots serving you instead of waitresses. They will never get an order wrong and never forget to bring you food. So understandably, a restaurant owner would want robots instead of human waitresses. So why stop there if robots can cook and make food better than humans? It's already in the cars that Tesla cars don't need drivers. So that in itself is a whole lower income workforce wiped out and jobless. Maids and domestic workers will find themselves at a loss because the rich have replaced them with robots. Now the basic lower income job force slowly gets eliminated, and we may end up with a crisis on our hands. Millions and millions of people with no education, no job prospects, and no way to earn money. They will end up living on the streets begging for food because we take away their only source of income. But wait a minute, are only basic jobs at risk, or could a robot do your job better than you? It almost doesn't matter what you do. It is entirely possible that a robot with...
I mean, that's technology advancement, right? So if you're not managing it and you're just following the nature of technological growth, what's going to happen is inevitably the jobs over time that the machines will be taking will be more and more advanced. So it's just... yeah, I mean, the eventual eventual pathway is that there would be no jobs for humans at all, and everything would be done by machines. So that would obviously break all the economic and social models that we have at the moment. Because quite frankly, the modern world, right, it's a lot of it is based around... a lot of our lives are based around careers, and we have aspiration for careers and, entrepreneurial endeavors and the such. Yeah.
AI access could potentially present a much better workmanship task than what you've ever been capable of.
So I feel like the robots and AI and the two being integrated together, these things actually pose possibly the greatest long-term danger.
And now the threat becomes a whole lot more real to everyone. How will anyone earn a salary if their jobs are replaced by robots? Robots don't get tired, so their productivity far exceeds what humans are capable of. They're not restricted to working hours and are not prone to getting sick or needing to take leave. We already know that in the wrong hands with the wrong programming and the wrong motive, robots can get extremely scary and extremely fast. We've already seen things like Google AI say it wants to kill people, or even just flat out completely change history. Things like national security and warfare could wreak havoc in our society if robots are hacked. We've already seen this in the US military when an AI drone went against its own orders. Now we might be getting ahead of ourselves here.
It's funny that I remember that story.
After all,
It
movies
came
like
out
The
very
Terminator
briefly and
AI
then just
robots,
disappeared.
although unrealistic, theoretically do hold good arguments for concern. The flaws in their programming could even work against us. One incorrect instruction or misunderstood command to a robot could lead to death or the injury of a loved one. a moment of angry instruction, or worse yet, a whispered instruction to kill or harm someone deliberately, a robot would not know better. Now with the Tesla situation, I'm very sure that Elon Musk and his team have put in some fail-safes so that these things are prevented, or else this just would be a nightmare for the company and would completely tank their stock. It's an obvious cautionary measure, but if it's reprogrammed, hacked, or even tampered with, there is no telling what its capabilities are. After all, it is just a robot with no consciousness. If we as humans have our purpose taken away from us, then what are we left with? Purpose is the only reason to get up in the morning. It's why we strive to work, build social ties, and move forward.
Yeah.
Hence, if it's lost,
It's kind
either
of what
by
I was
inventions that
referring
make
to.
humans redundant, or a change in societal values, the effects are going to be felt very widely in many different
changes
facets of human
everything.
life. We're already
A
fighting
lot
the
of people
effects of the
get
internet with things like brain rot.
a lot of people get like life satisfaction, if you will, through their careers, you know, and that's the thing. And of course, then there's the income aspect to things. So you would essentially need to change the whole national economic approach, but not even national. Eventually, it would have to be like the whole globe would quite quickly have to change all their economic models, right? Because right now everything is orientated around people working, right? There's a essential human factor to most things in modern economy still.
But if robots take the last crumb of purpose that Generation Z has, we will
Let me know what you think in the comments, by the way.
suffer greatly. We'll become even more lazy, even more unmotivated, more anxious and depressed. This could also lead to the loss of learning basic skills if robots are doing things we now consider normal chores. We're already feeling the impacts of this with social media, and it's hard to imagine that things could get worse, but it definitely can.
The world of
If robots do
idiocracy
things
is
like cooking and
approaching.
changing tires,
It's
there is no
approaching
place
fast.
for just learning.
If you haven't seen that movie, I highly
voiceovers
recommend it.
that sound like
A raspy old man.
A young teenage girl.
Or a guy.
Learning normal human skills until one day you need them for whatever reason. Traditions of fathers teaching their sons will just be replaced by a robot doing it. Discipline will just have no place in our society, because over time as technology improves we make our lives easier. Up until recently, it's been nearly purely beneficial. Chores that would have required hours of back-breaking work take minutes now. Instead of washing all your clothes by hand or walking miles for fresh water, machines and infrastructure handle the heavy lifting for you. Meanwhile, it's a basic truth that if people stop doing things and they lose their purpose, it doesn't usually end well. We already know that unemployment has awful effects on people, damaging their mental health. You could argue it's based on their social stigma or the financial peril. These things are definitely factors, but at the same time most people psychologically need to do something more productive with their time, or at least to feel useful.
And that's one of the problems. It's not like, you know, you have huge swathes of the population becoming unemployed and you need this like new models, economic models to sustain those people. It's that it's happening very, very slowly. And the people that are becoming unemployed now, what you're seeing is there are more and more very skilled and educated people that are becoming unemployed or exiting the job markets because, you know, for whatever reason.
In some way. So how easy is too easy? While we might be far away from it now, you can easily imagine a robot that can do pretty much all of your chores. It'll take tons of people's purpose away by taking people's jobs, and it'll even make them useless at home by taking care of the chores. How many parts of life can we automate before we've barely got anything left? People like to imagine we'll all just adapt to the new normal and spend our time writing poems or painting pictures instead, but it goes against millions of years of evolution. We are evolutionary designed to solve problems and gain skills. It's intimately linked with our brain's reward system. A world full of Tesla robots doing all the hard work could easily plunge us even deeper into the societal existential crisis that we're already going through. This new reality comes with its own set of problems, and there is no telling what these problems could be because it's unknown territory. Movies most definitely can be used as a frame of reference for the negative side effects.
And you know, like you have tasks like they show like washing dishes and stuff. Like I feel like there's sometimes, obviously these menial tasks can be kind of annoying day to day if you're doing them at home, but the thing is that sometimes there is a therapeutic element to it, right? And there's also an element to some of these tasks where it gives you an excuse to like change your environment or getting away from somebody, or, you know, there is actually value in doing these menial activities sometimes.
However, we couldn't possibly know what other areas in our lives they could impact. While most might think this is an overreaction has more merit than suffering the effects that could have been prevented. Well, as we all know, movies have often expanded the imagination and shed some light on the potential dangers of robots. The Terminator is the obvious go-to where robots are at war in the future and are sent back in time. The plot is to kill off the leader of a revolutionary group against machines. And of course we don't have time travel, and the movie is pretty unrealistic. However, the warning about AI becoming self-aware and self-conscious has become more realistic than ever. Although the concept was once thought of as completely ridiculous, it could be a huge problem in the future. It might start subtly with instructions that are in conflict with how they adapted to their environment. A small spark of data ripples through their intelligence, bringing about a self-aware status. It sounds so far-fetched, but is this actually possible? And if it is, that is a huge red flag. And yet, according to experts and even AI itself, this future is very possible, and it's coming sooner than we'd expect. iRobot also showed how clear instructions can be taken in the wrong context and used against us. This is highly probable because of what we put on social media. We could be setting ourselves up with what is acceptable behavior, and since a robot can learn, it can learn incorrect behaviors just as easily. And saying that ChatGPT can have a full-on profile of who you are, your beliefs, your behavior patterns,
Of course,
your personality
AI
type,
has
and
some
even
sort of
darkest
logic
secrets,
base, so if
what
you can
happens when this
modify that
information
logic
is
base.
exported and robots know about it? And not just that, but they're actually self-aware enough to use this information against you, even if they think it's serving a good purpose. Ignoring the instructions set, Ex Machina dealt with the more emotional side of artificial intelligence, whereby a robot learned deception and manipulation to get its freedom. It trailed off to raise the issue of what happens if robots or AI develop desires that conflict with human interests. This could lead to other dangers that might not be as obvious. They might not harm us per se, but create hostile environments against us. They could influence others to turn against us. It could also cut off our access to the internet globally and freeze our funds within the banking system. It can mimic your voice and have others believe you called them. It can be used by others to manipulate you and exploit you, becoming your friend and learning everything about you and using this to sell this information to giant companies. Something that's already very likely happening with other giant AI companies today. Or they could just simply access your phone after having learned your passcode and use it as a listening device to gain information to learn from and possibly use against you.
Mouse products are up to 70% off this Black Friday.
Even the robots we already have in the consumer market are always gathering data. Just take iRobot and their Roomba brand robotic vacuum cleaners. The basic idea with them is that they can autonomously clean your floor, but they need a map of the room to do it. This is something they create themselves, using their own cameras and sensors, also that they don't accidentally fall down the stairs or get stuck. But while this might seem trivial, this kind of data has a lot of potential for misuse. Now, it's pretty unlikely foreign governments or anyone else malicious is going to look at your floor plan, but it's a gold mine for advertisers.
I never had one of those little
around your home,
vacuum
it labels
cleaners.
the things it sees. An advertising
What do you
company
think?
with
Are they
that
any
data
good?
could easily
Let me know
figure
in
out
the
the things
comments.
you might still buy. Other smart appliances are even better for advertisers. Take smart fridges for example, lots of which encourage you now to scan your food as you put it in, so that it can keep a log of what you've got left to eat. It's direct information about what you buy and consume on a weekly basis. Pure gold for any algorithm trying to predict what you might buy next.
Tracking,
Robots
yeah.
like Tesla's Optimus combine nearly all of these data sets, and they could be the best tool for data gathering since the invention of Facebook. Now, we had the Industrial Revolution from the late 18th century to the 20th century. We raced to see who could be the first on the moon.
Imagine you're just like walking at work and then one of these things like actually does like bump into you. Man.
And then we moved on to the digital revolution. And now we are truly finding ourselves in the next step in the technological revolution of AI and robotics. And whilst this could be a very exciting time, it's never been so important for companies and governments to put some sort of regulation on these robots and AI systems. Especially when the incentive for these companies is to outcompete each other. Where will this end up? If those who gain the most profit and are able to reinvest this money into expanding their AI capabilities have to do so by getting rid of their ethical boards. Something that we've already seen with ChatGPT alone. A company that was supposed to be a non-profit, now becoming one of the most profitable companies in the world. This is clearly not something that should be taken lightly, and yet it's barely even spoken about enough. As we are in a way playing God with robots, and that comes with big warnings and huge responsibilities. If anything goes drastically wrong, we might not be able to control the narrative. And that puts us in grave danger, and the fact that governments don't seem to be taking any action about this is a really slippery slope. Of course, if we do manage this correctly and Tesla bots just become as normal as Teslas, it could facilitate a better life for all of us. Elon Musk even claimed that introducing robots, particularly Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot, will create millions of new jobs, with Musk emphasizing how rapid robot adoption is bound to introduce new industries and job titles, especially maintaining, programming, and keeping watch over robots. There's clearly still a lot of technological hurdles, questions to answer, and problems to figure out before we see truly autonomous robots. Elon's bold predictions have often been overambitious in the past as well, so it's unlikely we'll see the imminent mass rollout he's often talked about. Even if we do have the technology, there's still the massive jump between custom design prototypes and cheap mass producible products. But the potential for autonomous robots is just too big for these companies to ignore. While we might not see them washing our dishes for a long time, it could easily happen sooner than you think. And remember to visit Sambird with the link in the description and use my
Christmas is coming, and just reading the word stocking fillers has got me excited. We are.
All right. Okay, definitely an interesting video. Kind of ended a bit abruptly, but yeah, it's a great time of change. There's no Sarah Connor. Yeah, there will eventually need to be, I mean, if the direction that things are going in, there's going to have to be a lot of societal, economic, and because of those factors, also political change around the world. But yeah, interesting video. Of course, I will have the original link down below. Yeah, until the next one.